Okay. Major announcements here today. Let me get my cans on the right way. Excited. Hold on, guys. It's exciting stuff. Let me get situated here. All right. Everybody ready? We're back with another episode. But first, the sponsors. Special shout out to Secureit. We managed to do the renovation. You're going to see this beautiful new studio, new walls. I'm going to bring it all to you guys very shortly. Now, I want to thank some of the other sponsors. It's a big week. There's a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover today. I want to thank 6 Hour. I want to thank Volquartsen, Right On Optics, Pulsar. Guys, go buy a thermal. It'll change your life. I want to give a special thanks to all the brands, everybody. I know you're all struggling right now trying to figure out SHOT Show and all these different things. We'll get it squared away, guys. Everything will be fine. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I want to give a big thanks to the Geeks and Gamers. I had a chance to be on their show, Tuesday night main event. That was fun. Had a blast with those guys. If you get a chance, go check out all their stuff. I'm going to pull you guys up so I can read your questions. I know to all the Geeks and Gamers crowd that are in here, you guys, I do my best to try to read the super chats as it goes on, especially if there's viable questions in there. We try to, pay attention to all that stuff. I appreciate the hell out of everybody and everybody's support. All you guys means the world. Head over to the website. Go check out a complete list of the sponsors. There's a complete list there. Go check it out. johnbartoloshow.com. Leave reviews. I got a special guest today. He's been in here working like a dog. Ooh, phone's ringing. He's been working like a dog. Go check him out. Go support him because he supports the hell out of the show. We got the one and only Tom from Secureit. He's back.
Yes, I am, man. It's good to be back, too.
It's good to have you.
This place looks, there's no way to put it. It looks fucking awesome.
It looks awesome, right?
Yeah, it really came out well. I'm really
now,
happy.
None of this that everybody's going to see right now is going to do it justice, okay?
Yeah.
And I appreciate the hell out of you for coming down here personally for a couple days. It means the world. And I can't thank you enough.
It's a good, it's a good trip for me. I'm not a Vegas guy. I don't gamble. Good food, though. It's a great escape. It's 11 degrees freaking in Syracuse right now.
Yeah.
So the sun is shining here. It's 62 degrees, and it's a much needed break.
Now, I know one of your passions is to be out of the box and have a different, I guess you'd say, approach to things. And that's something I always look for in owners and I respect, especially in this climate. We'll get to SHOT Show and all that and in the industry, but especially in this climate, it's hard to do. It's hard to take chances on things you're passionate about. It's easy to kind of revert back to what we consider the norm. Where does that mindset come from? And I don't think we got into this last time. I guess you'd say, what makes you take an interest in areas that other owners don't necessarily take an interest?
It's not a conscious decision. I've been outside of stuff my whole life. I've always been that guy that's, my little group of friends were the ones that were outside the main groups. We got along with everybody, but I take a different view. It's
healthy.
It's kind of life on like a little bit on the Asperger's spectrum. I don't see things the way a lot of people do. You get together with your friends. You're hanging out, drinking beers, talking, everything else. And I'm sitting in that group, and everybody's getting along, and I'm just kind of looking at the conversation, through like a math process, trying to figure out what's going on. Because
even you said it, we're a safe company. We're trying to beat back the walls of safe companies a little bit.
Yeah, we don't compete with gun safes. We end them. I equate what we're doing right now to what's happening. Well, easiest one is what the Model T Ford did to the horse and buggy. When they first came out, most people are like, "Oh, it's loud, it smells, it's stupid." 9 years later, New York and Chicago bans horses. It just made more sense. We're coming into gun storage with a radically different way of doing it. when people know what we know, it's not that they won't buy a safe. I mean, you almost look at them with disdain because what the safe industry is doing is just wrong.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a dickhead here, but they could do it right. They're making a conscious decision to do things wrong.
Right. Isn't that the norm, though, in the gun business? It's like, let's get it wrong 3 times before we even attempt to get it right.
Well,
that's a different conversation.
There's that reliance on the word. I use the word heritage. You know, we rely on the heritage of the Wild Wild West, the heritage of the gun. Gun safes rely on heritage.
Yeah.
All the whole paintings on the fronts of the safes. There's a better way to do things.
I think so too.
And the military. We got in the military in 2002, 2007. We became the pros from door. That's a funny story. If we got time to tell that one.
You got time. Go.
We were a 3-person company, Secureit. And Secureit was originally Secure IT. I sold laptop storage cabinets. We were one of the largest sellers of laptop storage.
I remember you telling me this.
When the HIPAA laws came out, and a guy called and said, can you store an MP5? I'm like, sure. I'm thinking computer, MP5. He goes, I go, what is it? He goes, it's a little machine gun.
It's a Mac ProBook 5.
And I just started laughing. I'm going, I bet we could. We looked at it. That was 2002. Started getting into that market a little bit. In 2007, USAFIC, which doesn't exist anymore, U.S. Army Special Forces Command, that's part of SOCOM now, came out with an arms room assessment contract solicitation that we had a guy that was working for us just as an outside rep, just kind of helping us. He stumbled into this thing, brought it to us, and we're a 3-person company. I had Gary Myrick worked for me, great guy. And we're up against like L3, Harris. These are these huge contractors. And we walked in and we had nothing to lose. So we're sitting in a hotel going, our shirt's white enough. Do we look, can we pull this off? We walked in and just said, gentlemen, Secureit, I'm the leading authority, small arms storage in the world. And this is what we do. We're a tiny little company, but this is what we do. Complete bullshit. It was complete, but we had nothing to lose.
I'd rather be lucky than good, though, Tom. I mean, that's what it is.
But we came in with our bid was really competitive because we were a small company, and it was during the next 18 months. We traveled all over the U.S. We visited every Special Forces armory, sat with the armorers. We had access people don't get, and it was after winning the contract, we actually became the leading authority on small arms storage. We learned everything, and we developed our first weapon storage system, having never seen one.
There's a lot of things people don't understand about military bidding. And I think the biggest misconception is that it has to be elaborate. And I think people don't understand that they love simplicity. And that's at the root of your product set.
It's if you walk into our office, which is extremely empty these days. Most of the company, we run remote now. But the first thing you see is a huge sign that says Innovate and Simplify. Anybody can make stuff that's complicated. It's making something that works and then making it simple enough. And that was Apple's magic with Jobs. I got my mom an iPad years ago, and it's like, where's the manual? There isn't one. Well, how do I use it? Just use it. But I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. Just turn it on and touch it. And I left. You come back a day later, and she's got YouTube.
Yeah,
it's so intuitive. It's so simple. The operating system on it.
It's like those Progressive commercials. Stop being your parents.
Yeah.
Start making your parents your kids or something. I don't know. There's got to be a better way. But I love those Progressive commercials.
And what we brought to the military was open. What do you call it? Open architecture, a system that was compatible with everything else they use, not a proprietary storage system. And when we walked in with our solution, this was after the contract, we wrote the report, explained to them why their armories were failing. Then we showed them our solution. We didn't know if they were going to laugh at us, kick us out, or what. And it was so simple. We called it Home Depot development because we walked the aisles of Home Depot and saying, how does the world store stuff? And came up with a system that worked. And
Insane.
3 years later, we were the largest builder of military armories. It just went crazy.
Insane.
And sequestration forced us into retail, and it's funny that we didn't see it. Talk about blind spots. It never occurred to me to go into retail. The military market is about a $12 million market. Retail is about $800 million market. We never even saw it. And now we're in it, and we're growing like, one of the fastest growing companies in America per Inc. magazine. And what we're doing is there's going to be a change in America, a switch, an epiphany in America, people waking up, realizing that there's a proper way to store guns. I'm not saying you got to use my system, but proper storage takes into account the actual rifle, takes into account the intent of owning the rifle, i.e. fast access, proper storage, scopes free and clear, nothing's banging into each other, no corrosion issues. The gun safe is, the traditional gun safe.
It's antiquated.
I don't know why they do what they do, because the inside of a gun safe is extremely corrosive because of the materials they use. They could use non-corrosive materials for nominally more money.
Why do people go buy a Liberty safe, Tom? Or any other brand?
Habit.
It's
how your dad does it. It's how you do it. It's how people do things. People are bashing on electric cars right now. I mean, people know me. If they saw my warehouse, I've got 5 vintage cars in there. I'm building a 66 Falcon right now. I'm a gearhead.
Woohoo.
And every winter, I do a car a year. It's just how I clear my head, about an hour or two a day. But the electric car is going to replace the gasoline car. My prediction, gas stations start closing in 5 years. People say, that's stupid. No, you're crazy. You're nuts. Not all of them. But this change is going to happen because you're going from an engine with thousands of moving parts, a lot of complexity, to an electric motor with one moving part. And it's going to happen crazy fast. Is there a way to turn down these headsets? Mine's really, really loud. Check. 1, 2.
How are you now? Is it too low?
Oh, that's better right there. Yeah,
there?
My voice was blowing my head off. There we go.
We don't want that.
No.
Go back to your thought.
I listen to myself often enough.
Yeah.
So, no, that's that changeover, and that's going from a lot of engine technology.
We're talking about tech, and you go, is there a way to lower this? No, we're going to just burn it down, you know?
But I talk on that a lot in various things about this transformation in America that's going to happen with electric cars. It's going to be one of the biggest changes in our society in our lifetime, and it's going to happen extremely fast. And I see the same in the gun storage business. Malcolm Gladwell wrote that book, Tipping Point, which is required reading for my people.
Very familiar.
I mean, I don't know the guy. I love his book, but
Harvard.
We're reaching a tipping point. We're going to reach in gun storage. Once Secureit gets to 11% market, we're going to go from early adopters to mass market. And we're not quite there yet. And once that happens, this thing's going to take off. But most people see new technology and they sit back and, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to wait till a few people get it. I'm guilty of that. When the iPhone came out, I didn't rush out to buy one. I just watched it for a while. And then I think around iPhone 4, everybody started. I bought an iPad first. I was a pilot. I'm a pilot. I was flying a plane, and iPad is how you do your charts. I got the iPad, and then, 3 weeks later, I got the phone, and I bought my first MacBook Pro, and I like Apple. Yeah, so I know a lot of guys battle with the PC versus Apple thing, especially in the streaming world and in this world. Yeah. You know, it's either you run one system or you run the other. And I prefer Apple products for a couple of reasons. But the simplicity for the crew to use it. Now, does it have the robustness of the operating systems and being able to plug and play? No, but I don't know. It's I like my Mac because I turn it on and it works. When I turn on PCs, the longer you own a PC, this is for me, the longer I own a PC, the worse it gets. Yeah. But yeah, it gets scary. They're like little boxes that almost, you think an Apple's scary when you say something like everything pops up and you're like, I feel like somebody's living. There comes a point where I think like Gozer is living in my computer and I'm not quite sure. So I kind of got away from the PC thing. I have been intrigued to get a tablet though. I have been somewhat interested in getting a Surface. I think it's Microsoft Surface. Yeah. I have had some interest in that. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I think from a design standpoint, having a big screen Surface where you can move stuff around, or like they have, what's some of the movies, they move their hands around, all the shit's going on. Now, a few people have chimed in already. I want to throw this to you. People say, Ryan said he's unsubbing because there's no Android representation. There is Android representation. We do like Android stuff, Ryan. We haven't quite abandoned Androids just yet. Oh. But I think that's a sign of this industry. Now, you're in the military space and you see how these guys behave and how decisions are made at that level. Everybody likes to throw around, I want to get a military contract, or I want to get this, or I want to get that. And people don't understand what goes into it.
when you're preparing a brand to not just go to retail or maybe go into the military space, there's a lot that goes into it after the sale. You know, it's not all just luck. You have to build out the infrastructure. You have to have the right people. You have to have the right process. This industry is very slow, Tom, to change and adapt. And it's interesting because we're in such an industry where we're like, we adapt and overcome. We do not adapt at all. No. Not even a little.
No, it's...
And why is that?
I don't know. You know, it's interesting. Is there the fact that you're dealing with deadly force that keeps people, they don't want to venture out away from the path they're on because this is deadly force and this path we know is safe? Does that safety? Because let's face it, if you're going to live life with firearms, it is a lifestyle. I mean, it is a change of lifestyle. If you don't own guns,
sure,
you buy your first gun, your life's going to be different going forward. It should be. You've now taken on that responsibility. Is that, I don't know, that narrow band keeping people from just thinking a little bit, or?
I think it's more than a narrow band right now. I think it's a little wider runway. Well,
a result of COVID could be a shaking up that
I think COVID sped a lot of things up, Tom.
Yeah,
I think what's going on right now is we're witnessing microwave marketing and we're witnessing microwave business running. And we got some news today that SHOT Show, a lot of people have stepped out. Benelli, Beretta, from what I'm hearing, Safariland, Taurus. All these different companies have backed way out of SHOT Show. And I know the NSSF is probably, having a little bit of a conniption. And look, we love the show. You've been in this business long enough now, and everything's evolved. And this speaks to these companies. I think we're seeing a little bit of an awakening in the industry, and companies are realizing they want to pump more into their infrastructure and their own personal growth. What do you think?
I thought this would be the year to determine whether SHOT Show is valid or viable going forward. My last show I did 3 years ago, spent $160,000, and I get nothing for it. We don't sell through stores. We are a direct-to-consumer company.
It essentially becomes a rah-rah thing for you.
It's a huge ego. But I was going to tell you something. We were rock stars. With that jacket, you'd blend in. The camo. It was.
Can't appreciate that jacket on film.
No, this is. I pulled this out for very special occasions. And I thought this was one of them.
Beautiful. So I want one.
The camo jacket.
It's a change.
It is the SHOT Show thing now that's happening.
But our shows, forget about the NSSF, forget about all that. Are shows still viable? That's the $1 million question. CES was dead, they said. You're in these hotels right now. It's empty.
It is, yeah. The biggest trade show in the world is going on right now, and my hotel's dead. The show, there's nobody. I talked to one of the guys at a bartender there. They said they had 1,700 people cancel out. Three days before, because that's just the nature.
Because why?
Because they didn't want to. There were COVID. Well, you got companies saying that half their staff has COVID right now, so it's this thing's gonna. This whole Omicron thing is gonna flare. Everybody's gonna get it. It's gonna be gone. It's gonna come and go. But
well, they're already on to the next one. It's like H1N1 or whatever they're calling it now. I don't know what they're calling it.
I think the show, the concept of bringing people together is a good concept, and I like going to the show, not having a booth, because I spent 3 years ago, I spent 3 days at SHOT Show, and I got more time. I get to see, talk, shake hands to people that I deal with, and that's a good thing. But do we need the craziness of doing it?
Honestly, I think all the shows need they need to stop trying to sell $1 million booths. I know the booth. Yeah. I have friends in the booth industry. I know you don't want to hear that, but they need to stop with these giant, oversized, I call them party booths. Because is there really a need anymore to take every product you make? No. Is there really a need for that?
No, but it got to be that thing. Remember, the first trade shows weren't like that. And then each manufacturer, like if you're a high-end, big, one of the major players in rifles, where each year you're like, what's SIG doing? We got to be a little bigger.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that. It's a pissing match of who's got the coolest booth to impress the people walking in. But you're right.
Now, the $1 million question with every marketing department now is, where is it going? That's the $1 million question.
I think right now what they're looking at now is tangible return on investment. That's not trade shows is, oh yeah, you got to do them. Now I think it's going to be, is it actual tangible return on our investment for the show? And I don't think most people realize just a 10 by 10 booth, simple booth at SHOT Show, staff it, the whole thing, you're into 20 grand, 30 grand really quick. You can go higher.
I think you're partly right. I think you're on the right path. I think I will say this. I think that the industry is going to move very quickly right now, which it's not used to doing.
Yeah.
You see all these companies quickly pumping money into their own infrastructure and into their own experience. And I'm trying to be very careful what I say because I do know what some brands are doing, but I also know that they're not prepared to talk about it just yet, and out of respect for some of them. But I do know SIG is in the process of building an experience center. That's something they're going to roll out. They're going to have their own events. They just believe in containing their media. And when you talk about ROI as an owner or as a brand, and you start to get into that conversation and pull it apart, I think you're right, but I think the return on the investment is the owning of the situation, is the management of the situation. Because I'd look at any owner, and if they were spending $175,000, $200,000, $300,000, I'd be like, why don't you just do an event at your place and we can fly the fucking people in for cheaper?
Yep.
So everybody that you want to reach, let's say it's an FFL owner, let's say it's 702, let's say it's whoever, where we just were. Mm-hmm. The range, shout out to Chris and a plug to 702. But if you're in Vegas, go shoot a machine gun. But
we're going to build that place. That place is going to be awesome.
I think... I think you can build really cool experiences. Does it always have to be in your building? Some people say to me, well, I live in New York, or I'm here, or I'm there. It doesn't have to be there. You could create a centralized location and run an event, and you can run it very sparsely. If you bring in the right brands and you bring in the right people and you involve the writers, the people. How nice of a phone call is it to get? Okay, let's say you have that 175 in the bank. How nice of a phone call is it to get to, hey, it's Tom at Secureit. Just wanted to say, hey, we want to fly you out. We're doing an event. It doesn't insert at Chuck E. Cheese. That's a bad example. But anywhere, we're doing an event. We would love to have you out 2 days. You're in and out, 48 hours, all expenses paid. If you want to do a range day, do a range day. Do I think range days, make a lot of sense for everybody? No, there's ways to do it that it will work. I'm not going to get into that. I'm peeling that onion. But that's a different story. But I think range days are good for new markets. I think they're really good for new people. Nobody wants to see everybody get together and do another range day where we just all do mag dumps and go back to a hotel. It's lame. Most people don't want to do it. It's not exciting. Look, it has to change. And some of these brands, and without, like I said, getting into too many and naming names, they're getting into NFTs. They're getting into some of this meta space stuff. I'm already looking and buying my real estate in the meta space. I just think everybody in the industry needs to have that wake-up call. And if it means doing what Scott Volkortson did, I could talk about that, building a wing onto his place to host people and to have people in to see what he's doing. It's really a callback, Tom, in many ways to the old way of doing business.
It is.
Which I think is a better thing, don't you?
I do. And I think the company that I see that's going to benefit from their efforts, and they're operating way outside the norm at SIG.
Yeah.
That experience center,
they're going to murder it.
They're spending millions on this thing, and I mean their timing though timing is perfect.
It's perfect.
It is. And I'm going to say they got lucky on the timing, but they were right on the idea.
Yeah.
And the other thing I see, like for a company our size, we don't have the resources to do that. But what we're gonna look at, and I think you're going to see in the industry, is there's going to be not a consolidation, but there's going to be a grouping up of companies that are synergistic, and these events will be coming together. And you're going to have, fiefdoms or groups of 5, 6, 8, 10 companies that operate together to create events. But the thing is as they form.
Yeah, no, and there's some bad ones out there now. Don't be fooled.
There are, but what's going to happen is.
But they'll get it right.
The ones that get it right. Everybody's going to want to be all the other companies that, how do we get in there? Well, you can't. You have to do your own. And there's going to be a point where you're going to see a handful of companies or groups.
I agree.
Are going to command unbelievable power in the marketing side of things because of their capabilities. And the barrier to entry to do what SIG is doing is really high.
I think you'd be surprised because I know how reasonably priced your product is. And I know what you're trying to do. I think, and I'm going to put this out there as a challenge to every marketing director that listens to this show on LinkedIn, everybody else that tries to act like they don't listen, because I got 2 phone calls from guys today that do listen that I said, I dare you to comment on my LinkedIn fact, right?
Yeah.
I think we're marching towards a time where opportunity and money and all these things are kind of coalescing in the right place. Mm-hmm. And I think if the brands listen to some of the I would say some of the forward thinkers inside the room that are saying, we can do this. Listen, in every deal we do, we want to try to win in 2 out of 3 ways. It's the art of the deal. We want to try to win a majority of the deal. I don't doubt for 1 second, if a company came to you and wanted to build an experience center, you would find a way to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
Any way humanly possible.
Absolutely. It's
and I challenge everybody out there to take me up on that. Call him collect.
We're building the armories for SIG right now. That's not customer facing. That's their actual issue. We're actually building their actual issue ports and that side of it right now. We haven't had the conversation yet of doing the customer facing side of it. We'll get there with those guys, I think.
You think?
I hope so. I hope so. I want to get Tom on the can I plug the show coming up?
Go ahead.
We can talk about that. It's this is still a work in process, but it was presented to me that Securit's we're gonna host our own show on the Outdoor Channel this in July. It'll be Agents of Change is the working title.
Woo!
Yay. And what I want to do is, and it's all about driving change, is
I love the concept.
Bring the companies that truly are driving innovation in our industry, give them their spot. And the show will talk about change in this industry and what we can do to change. Each episode will feature 1 or 2 manufacturers that are doing things that are truly innovative. SIG is going to be a feature show that I want to do with those guys. We'll be there, and I'm hoping that we can develop that relationship. We've got a great relationship with their armory people, and we've done a ton of work there. We've got a great relationship.
When are you going there? Do you know yet?
I don't. Oh, to SIG?
You're going to do the interview there?
Yeah, it has not been scheduled. That'll be probably late February.
Let me know. I'll go.
All right, that'll probably be late February, March.
I could probably get you in a couple of rooms.
We did Daniel Defense. We built their armory. Now we built their customer showroom armory, which is it's a pretty slick. It's like a room this size, and it's floor to ceiling panels, and it's like just rows and rows of guns. It's
insane. Now, who's high on your list for this Agents of Change show? What brands?
SIG is up there. I think Pulsar we're going to talk to. There's a suppressor company, and this is horrible on my part, but I can't remember the name of them. They're out of...
There's a lot of them.
There are, but these guys do things. It's a different way of doing a suppressor we're going to talk to. There's the...
I think I know who you mean.
There's the synthetic ammo.
Yeah, the True Velocity guys.
Yeah, but we're going to talk to them. I'm not sure on those guys yet.
I like the owner.
I think they need money.
I like the owner.
I don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, they may. I don't know. Pat, if you do, call me. I don't know.
Invest in the company.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's a neat concept.
I like the owner. I think he's on to something because I think brass is just getting harder to come by. And I think there are other ways. We just have to get the manufacturing capability ramped up to a level that it's quality. And I think they're close.
The other ammo side of it, there's ammunition being made now that is tuned to the harmonics of your barrel. Do you buy a precision rifle and they always say, try a lot of different ammo, find out what works best for your gun. And there is an ammo, there is a bullet, there is a charge that will work best. Well, why? Because the harmonic balance of the barrel and the charge of that cartridge as it comes out of the barrel. And managing the blade,
the barrel whip.
Right. So when you find the right harmonic balance, you've got ammo that is tech driver.
I never worked on that side of it. I worked more on the heat mitigation of the barrels, which was another huge thing. I never worked on that side of it, the harmonics, but that's an interesting space.
So what these guys are doing is they're actually, you give them the specs of your rifle and they say, okay, this is the ammo that will work perfectly. They're making ammo specific to the harmonics of the barrel. And I have not tested this yet myself, and I will. It's fascinating to think about where you've got the perfect round for your barrel. We're talking about really precision shooting here. This is not, plinky stuff. This is not hunting. This is more long-range precision shooting.
You know what's interesting I wanted to ask you, I wanted to get into with you, is we thought essentially distributors would be dead by this time. We thought distribution channels were going to dry up. You would have an interesting take on this because you're on the outside. You can kind of comment from the cheap seats. Is it surprise you that companies like Big Daddy Unlimited and other brands have come into the industry that are trying to reshape what that distribution model looks like? Or do you think that space is just going to, I think people want to get more direct, and I think that's going to be a hard fucking space to live in. I mean, but does it surprise you that people, you still have Optics Planet thriving, Brownells, these different larger retail spaces online? Have they dominated the landscape and maybe we're down to 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 or whatever the number is? Or do you see that as a viable model going forward?
It's interesting. The distribution model is, we went through, when I first went in the retail, we went through distribution into stores. And what we found out is the big distributors, behind the scene distributors, manage like 20, 30 websites, retail websites. And they're not distributing. They're just selling through all these websites, and it really commoditizes. We saw this is going to
They're essentially resellers.
They are, but they're just commoditizing everything. So if you have a commodity product, the distribution model works. It's efficient to go to distributor, direct to consumer. The idea that a distributor puts your products in all these stores, yes, they can, but you got to be very careful how you set it up. From non-commodity products, no, it's not. And there's so many manufacturers are clueless to the digital world. They have websites, and they talk about it, and they outsource, and they try these different things out, but actual consumer experience on a website is not easy to do. And we're building a new website. We're custom from scratch building a website right now. It's going to launch in March. And there's still a lot of guesswork. I mean, we've got a lot of cool tech we're bringing in. But I'd say the one thing about digital is the information feedback loop is it's big and it's fast. So you know right away, I can tell what they're doing on the site, what they're reading, where they're going after, and we can see what's happening and then carefully craft the site to basically give the consumer what they want. Ultimately, when you come to Secureit website, based on what you do online, you will get a homepage that matches up with the way you want to see information. Somebody who's highly detailed will see a highly detailed web page. Somebody who's less detailed, looking for quick snap, big picture stuff, will get that experience. And we're working towards that. And that's that's a way more advanced way of looking at the web. And that is farming some big data that some people get scared about, but it's out there.
Does it surprise you how bad some of the websites are?
No.
Because some companies, it's bad.
It's ours right now I consider ours pretty bad right now. But
But at least you're critical. Some people are trying to skate.
It's what's bad is web development companies, when you hire them, are bad. And I'm telling you guys, if you're going to go and build a website, if you're not willing to spend at least $75,000, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Find a platform, do it yourself, and learn. Hire a young marketing person out of college and let them learn.
In that space, I would say this. There's a big difference between dropping a couple grand in a website, which mine's, a good website's a couple $1,000. It's nice. For a podcast, it's fine.
Yep.
When you have a retail presence and you're going to be doing e-commerce and you're going to be getting into all that stuff, you have to be prepared to dig deep. We'll probably, I don't know our total budget. We're well over 100K will be in our site. But again, we're building a lot of tech. There's a lot of back-end technology in our site to allow us to process, the order processing and the customer service side of it. Ticketing system is pretty robust, because for us as a direct-to-consumer, our greatest asset next to Cradle Grid, our system, is customer service. And our service department is, there's no customer service department that can rival what our guys do. I think that's what it's all about, though. I think you touched on another piece that I think, when we talk about where it's going, I think people don't understand the power of having a quality customer service, somebody there who can actually walk you through the experience, because that's part of it, right? Why I don't know why this is a hard concept in this industry, but I've been in some companies. I was recently in one, I don't want to say where, but because when I get into that, that's a whole separate episode. But just recently, they had one customer service person, and this person new enough, but like it was just, I'm like, people are spending thousands on this product. You know, three of these pays this person's salary, and you can't hire someone decent.
No, I know. We that's the biggest growth area of our company is customer service. And then we also, as an owner, I free them up. And all my customer service staff have the ability to
think on their own,
to credit to 100 to basically send free product.
Yeah.
To whatever. I mean, because for me, if a guy's got a problem with one of my safes, something's a shipping damage, sometimes we get damage you couldn't tell, but they get everything set up and we realize something's not right. Okay, for me, the sale's already lost. Any money I made in that sale's already gone. Now our only win here is
mitigate the blowback.
You know, we need to take a guy who has a problem and turn him into an advocate for Secureit. The only way to do that is to make his problem go away regardless of cost. And sometimes it costs a chunk of money. Usually it doesn't. But when you look at the people who review us, the outside sites, just go and read up on Secureit. You'll see people saying, "Wow, I had a serious problem, boom, 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 but holy crap, did these guys take care of me? Blew me away." I see it all the time because you're shipping big, heavy products. Stuff can go wrong.
Always.
But we spend a lot of money on it, but it's probably some of the best money we spend because Orvis is expensive stuff. Land's End built their company on customer service.
Orvis is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Orvis is an interesting one. Now, we know shot's going to happen. Apparently, we think.
There's going to be a building with a sign on it.
We think. Does NRA happen? That's a good question.
When is it scheduled?
April.
Is it April?
March, April, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the Omicron thing, this thing comes and goes quickly. Shot, it's interesting. We don't do a booth. We rent the penthouse at the Bellagio, the top of the Venetian, whatever, the top floor with several other companies.
Party.
It's a cocktail party. It's for military only. The challenge now is a military even going to show up? We don't know. And it's not crazy expensive. We divide it up. It's a chunk of money.
You might have to open it up to civilians.
My plan right now is to go to the show. I've got a ton of meetings. My plan this year for the show was really to go on a kind of an expedition looking for new innovative brands for the TV show and meet the ones I've already talked to. But this thing could implode really if it shows in 2 weeks. Oof. This thing could implode. It's the kind of thing, once this snowball happens, it's like boom, it's over within no time.
But isn't this like statement moment for the industry in so many ways? Like there's a lot of tone deaf people involved in this decision making, and not only are they tone deaf, but they don't understand where it's going, and they're gonna try to crowbar and slam everything down everybody's throat. And I just don't know if the Daniel Defense urinal cakes are gonna go over the same way. I just don't know if the $10,000 banner in the lobby, I think people who paid that or who do that are going to walk away with this weird taste in their mouth. Like, you know what? I may have taken a flyer on it but this doesn't feel good, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with whoever's left. And I thought that was such a risk that didn't need to be taken. That's all.
Yeah. It's, those big spots, there was a time when that was, brand awareness was something. Now
10 years ago?
Yeah. But now I'm going to say, is that fuck you money?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's just.
As far as the innovate and change, I think that could be a very powerful segment. And I think it could be something, and I'm excited about it. When you first told me about it, I thought it was really cool. And I think incorporating, I always tell people this: if you're going to do a show, keep it free flowing, make it companies, make it people, make it very loose, because you're not always going to want to interview manufacturers. And to be quite honest, there's not a ton of them really thinking out of the box. There's a lot of very stagnant brands out there that just refuse to get in the conversation. And that's what's always so mind blowing to me. Now, I've talked to a few of them along the way and have had the luck of meeting you and being around people, and we've known each other for years, but getting to spend time with people, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that are still like, we're going to get a hat made and we're going to get the $2 hat. It's like we're going to get the Gildan t-shirts that no one's going to wear. And I'm like, why? Why? It's like saying I'm going to play football and I'm going to get a crappy football. Like, I just don't get it.
Well, because they don't want to spend money, because they can't, I mean, to invest in good marketing materials like hats, I mean, if you're going to do it, it's like TV advertising. You don't buy one ad. You got to buy 50 ads or else it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you're going to have your name out there, it has to be everywhere, but you can't draw it back to your bottom line easily. And that's the bean counter side of marketing right now. They don't, is it possible that digital marketing has got people too far to the side of data? Because I fight this sometimes within my organization. In the digital world, you go to Google, you pay for Google ad, AdWords, some of those, I pay YouTube ads. I can track to the penny every single spend. It's so trackable when you buy stuff, other like hats, get your name. There's no way to track it, so people don't want to do it anymore.
Right. No, I think that's the problem.
20, 30 years ago, nothing was trackable and people just did stuff.
I think that's the problem, but I think the bigger root of the problem is it's like, think of all these owners as like doctors. They're trying to cure symptoms, you know what I mean? And they're not trying to cure the actual problem. So, the problem is, they don't see an ROI on this hat, right? But if I wanted to sit there and do the math, and this is a nice plug to SIG, but if I wanted to sit there and do the math and say how many times I wore this on a show, how many impressions it got, how many hits it got, blah, 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 there's data in that. Is there always going to be a little magic built into marketing? Yes. There's always going to be magic built into it. But if you don't take a chance on the magic won't happen. I can guarantee you that. At some point, you have to read the tea leaves and say, listen, I might not win in 2 out of 3 ways in this, but I'm like 1 3/4. It's close. This accomplishes what I need it to accomplish. Therefore, I think I can draw it out. I would say this as an advocate, Tom, and you're an owner, so this may sting. The owners have a gross misconception about what you don't, but the owners have a gross misconception about the worth of a person who is willing to do this. Now, do a lot of people do this? No. Yeah. I agree with you. There's a lot of influencers out there that are like, hey, it's me with a cell phone. Hey. Yeah. And does that work? No. I think the short answer to that is not entirely. A lot of people that are putting out quality content out there, they're doing it with good mics, with good cameras, they're in this business. You know what I'm saying? Of creation. Like my friends at the Geeks and Gamers, they're in the business of creation. They're going to spend money on things that are going to elevate their creation. Demolition Ranch goes and blows things up. I mean, it's not inexpensive to pull off some of the stuff that they pull off. But the problem is there's companies that are like, we'll send you a box of ammo. We'll send you a bag. And they don't understand what all goes into it. I would say as an advocate for the influencers and for the folks out there that are on the ground, I would say I think the owners need to come up a little bit and understand there are good faces of a brand. There are good people to represent brands. There are good people to be involved in that brand message. There are good people to align yourself with. You just got to find them.
Well, it also helps to have a story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of brands that it's like, wow, they don't market themselves well. I look and go, well, what do they actually have to market?
Like
okay, it's another AR-15 that is just like every other AR-15. There's a lot of companies.
Don't say that. You just upset half the market, I'm sure.
No, but there's a lot of companies. You got to have a story. There's got to be something to what you're doing. I mean, we sell gun safes, but what are we trying to do? We're trying to turn the industry upside down. I don't look at, money as a catalyst to what we do. And any real entrepreneur, people bitch about the billionaires in America and all that crap, but money is a byproduct of of being successful. It's not the goal.
Can't be.
I don't mind spending money to get to, my goal is that, I always tell people at the company, my goal is that, Forbes does an article on the staff of Secureit, this little company, as I refer to, a band of misfits out to change the world that turns an industry upside down on limited resources and just out of pure moxie, drive, and belief.
It's a hard thing to do today. It's a hard thing.
It is, but it's also, the landscape is ripe for
I agree with that.
A good message told well, Backed up, again, you got to back it up with the product, you got to back it up with service and all the other little pieces of it.
It's like the point you brought up about SIG, where they're positioned
Yeah.
and what they can do because of not only their capabilities, their product set, everything that's baked into it. So it creates this really nice melting pot. Now, I've had Matt Wolf from Enforce, other guys on. We've all said the same things. It's stages. Some companies aren't ready for that stage. Some companies aren't in the right location for that stage. I have friends, that maybe they're not all working in the same area. Maybe they're not, and they're creators and they can't all collaborate the way that they want to. If you can't create that collaboration, like if, Volquartz and Scott's up in Carroll, Iowa, does everybody want to go to Carroll, Iowa? Not necessarily. But I think that there's an opportunity if you're able to mimic that same experience that you'd want them to have in your building or in your house or in your kitchen and create it somewhere else. Okay. And I think as brands start to figure that out, that's going to be the better spend. And where the ROI is in the control of the content. So I think we're going to reach a point kind of like how First Form has it where, like, let's say you're a SIG ambassador or a Volquartz or Right On. You're going to go to the Right On event. You're going to participate in that. They're going to fly you out. They're going to bring you in. You're going to be their creator for the weekend, if you will. You're going to be able to create all the content you want, meet with all the people, interact. Hey, I want to interview Lena. I want to interview this one. It's all going to be available to you in one place. And that's going to be the goal. And you're going to have certain people on salary or that are paid ambassadors or influencers or sponsors or whatever. And they're going to be able to come in and create the content. That's where it has to go.
Yeah.
And I think the people trying to throw range days or parties or whatever you call it, I think that's going to be a harder sell because they're going to say, for $10,000, I can fly you to my range day. Why am I paying you?
Yeah, it's when you can do anything, what do you do?
Right.
Well, they do nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just sitting watching SIG. I think they are the company that's going to define. And you look at where was SIG 20 years ago? They're a pretty small company. I mean, they were not a player early on. I don't know the history of the company. When I first worked with those guys, probably 2010 maybe. It was when we first were there, and we pitched a lot of ideas for them that nothing happened, and then. Their armor left, and what happened is guys from the military who'd used our product started working at SIG and reached out to us and said, hey guys, come on, we got to help us build this stuff. But I do think, how do you give somebody an experience? The other side is do you have an experience people want? SIG does. They're doing
I agree with you.
They're doing truly innovative stuff with modularity and handguns. Look at some of the stuff they're doing. There's a lot of stuff out there that just because it's cool, that's a photo on Instagram. It's not a product that I'm going to use.
Well, with some, like your brand, for example, there's a lot of great collaborative opportunities. There is. That's where you're going to have to live in that collaborative world. Yep. What you need is someone that can come in and say, hey, we're going to do an event over at say 702 and they have your walls or whoever, and you have that, like, that's my product, you have that ability to be like, hey, this is how we can do it. Oh, hey, good to meet you. And that's where it's going to be more like relationship based on the collaboration, and the collaboration is going to dictate the market that you want to play in. Like if you want to show these walls in a gym, you'd have weights and shit hanging from them, and you'd go to a gym opening or something, But I think it's the collaborative effort for your brand, which is the same approach, a little different. Maybe eventually you do something really small where you're bringing guests up, or you have the studio and the production for the show in-house, and you're able to have people up. And along the way, it's kind of like let me show you how we do things here, and let me show you this office. And some people really like that, or some people like to spend time. I would say from the standpoint of an individual experience, I think every company can create an individual experience. You can fly somebody up and say, I want you to meet my salespeople, sit with my marketing department. That's energetic and infectious. That's good stuff. If I'm able to go into a building and sit with those people and understand how they work, and if they're maybe fans or they like the show or the dialogue, you talk with them for a little bit, it's a really cool interaction, and it's really cool to sit with all those folks. I enjoy it. I love it because I love getting, with the sales teams and the people. But I think that that's something a lot of owners overthink. Yeah, you need like a little area in the building where you could put the person because you're babysitting. And when people come to town, I go through it with this. You're kind of, watching, making sure everything's good. It's a pain in the neck sometimes, but you love it. And you have to love people. But, you could set it up where it's like, come in, do whatever show you're doing, have dinner, get them out. And you're only doing that. It's all about scalability. You don't have to do that on a John Bartolo level. We did 105 episodes last year. You can do it on a 12 episode thing. It's all about scalable. And all you're doing is increasing your networking opportunities. That's my take.
Yeah, it's
I think it can be done on every level. Can you do a large scale event, a big rain, all that shit? No, but do you have to?
No, and for us, it's because our job ends once you touch the gun. Our thing is we store a gun in a manner that is the best for the gun, presents it to you quickly for super fast access. But once the gun in your hand, we're kind of done. We're looking at shows going forward. Some of the stuff we're looking at is, home builder experiences. America's population is going through the roof. And home building is going to, it's been, COVID's got it all screwed up, but we're looking at that as an area for an experience.
You should give panels out at the border. That would make sense. You should give some panels out at the border.
Go. Yeah. Holy shit. That's a whole nother thing that people are just not. High population. Increasing your population does not increase the quality of your life. You can say it decreases. Why is it that everybody who makes a bunch of money ends up living in more rural settings?
I thought you were going to say people aren't waking up yet. I'm like,
oh, no, people are. We talked about it yesterday.
They're kind of.
There is, I'm going to call it, and I'm going to coin the phrase. I'm hoping all the big talking heads grab my phrase.
Oh.
A constitutional renaissance is coming. And I know more people who are, they're friends of mine who are fairly liberal, they're Democrats, who are done. And they're just like, I can't do this anymore. And you hit on one of the things in some of your episodes I've listened to, and it's going to blow up on the Democrat Party, is the age gap. They've got not just the Pelosi's, the runners, but if you look who's funding all this, they're
100.
They're all, and once these people, they're all going to age out. They're in the next 5 years. They're
100 and they're desperate.
And the next group of people is AOC in their 30s.
They're 100, they're desperate, and they were all on the Lolita Express.
Yeah.
They're 100.
But the Republican Party has a lot more people in there. You got your Jim Jordans, your Rand Paul. You got these people that have some leadership experience. The Democrat leadership is about to drive off the old age cliff.
Oh. And AOC's finished. She doesn't want to be there. She wants to go make money.
But her whole group,
Yeah.
That group of people, that whole squad, that socialist group, they don't have leadership experience.
I could see her going back to politics. I just don't see her. Yeah. I don't see her being a 40-year gremlin.
Look at what's her name, Harris, the VP. She has no actual leadership experience, and it's very apparent when you read about how poorly run her organization is.
Yeah.
And that party is void of it because they've never developed their replacements. You know, when you run a company, I'm CEO of a company. One of the most important things that we do is everybody in my company trains their replacement.
Yeah.
You train the people to take over for you because eventually you're going to be gone. And a successful organization always has a stepping stone of people that can move in when people leave. The Democrat Party has not done that. And when these people, is Pelosi going to run again? I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, all these people are going to be gone. And there's just nobody there. And I think the liberal cities are in for a violent period of time.
I mean, she's going to be what, 90?
I don't know. She's not talking good right now. Have you noticed? Last time I saw her speak, I'm just like, she's got issues that she's not talking about. She's got some things happening, but
there's some type of paralysis.
For me, what I hear in the politics side of it, the pushback, it's not the money side of it. It's the violence. It's the crime. And this concept that we can't prosecute crime. If you actually, the concept of prosecuting crime is now deemed as racist.
I never understood the whole philosophy of we're going to kick the military do X, Y, or Z, to the civilian base, and we're gonna hate cops too. But by the way, we're gonna take your guns. Never made sense to me. I'm like, how does that add up? Who's taking them?
I don't know. It's I was in Minneapolis. That's where we're going to be. We're building a studio for the show, and downtown Minneapolis is still a ghost town.
Oh.
And nobody's going back because they all got scared. These are liberals with a lot of money. It's the most educated city in America, and they all moved out. All the restaurants are gone. They're out in the suburbs now. Nobody's going back, and you can't let criminals out of jail. Or not, just choose not to prosecute crime, choose not to have police, and
expect calm.
No, and a society has as much crime as it tolerates, and these people are willing to tolerate crime because they're using it as a tool. They might, in some way.
Yeah,
it's I live in a small town. We don't tolerate crime. We just don't tolerate it. We don't have it because there's no tolerance for it.
It's terrifying to think about, but I do think there is a bit of an awakening going on, and I do think a lot of people are kind of starting to say, like I called it before on this show and said, the story of making fun of Biden is too big to ignore. At some point, even CNN and MSNBC are going to get in on it. Even at some point that Don Lemon, I don't even know what he is. It's the one that's running around grabbing his junk. And then who's the other one there? The one with the hairdo, the one on MSNBC, the other one. Rachel Maddow. Where they found her in like Hampshire, Amherst, Mass. She's a frickin' train. I think like 8 people watch her show at this point. Like 8 people.
Well, because all during the Trump, her show, every show was like, next week, that's it for Trump. Next week, that's it. But I do think some of the conservative voices have to change too.
Big time.
I mean, it's like listening to gloom and doom preachers about the end of the world, listening to a lot of these guys talk.
At the national level, Tom, you know that I've been a big advocate of this. At the national level, the gun debate is horrible.
It is.
Everybody involved with it is horrible. We've had the worst representation nationally on the gun side could ever ask for. You literally have people, I've said it before on the show, I'm not going to shy away from it. You can't find a picture of Dana Lowe shooting a gun, but she's a spokesperson for the gun industry. You can't, Collion Noir just interviewed the Detroit urban survival guy. He's never done a martial art in his life. It's like Stephen A. Smith. It's insane. But those are people that, the NRA endorsed and anointed and said, we're going to put a bow on them. And this person talks to this segment. Please. They were made in a lab.
But that's the soundbite. I think that world is ending, and CNN is driving the whole soundbite, the whole using 24-hour news as your vehicle. Nobody, even the most watched station now is Fox, but still their viewership isn't that good.
No, Rogan's killing all of them.
Right. So
he's murdering all of them.
I think a lot of that goes. Rittenhouse, Kyle, he'd be a good spokesman for the industry, wouldn't he?
He would be great if he took some of the money he's going to get from those defamation suits and everything else, and he started a self-defense org that maybe spoke to the FFLs. The national gun debate's a hot disaster. And Tucker Carlson, whoever you are out in the debate, you guys, the thing is, just going to the range with Hickok 45 is not the gun industry.
No.
That is not the gun industry. And I hate when that type of stuff, I love seeing guys go up to Terrans. Going up to Terrans is not the gun industry. Those are great times, good opportunities, and a great time to hang out with friends. Whether you're shooting guns, throwing darts, or whatever. But those are just smoke. And it's like anything else. It's like, I'm a liberal if I wear a blue tie. But I want to talk to people that are actually strengthening the debate. I want to talk to people that are either owners of FFLs. I want to talk and be around people that are concerned FFL owners that might lose their business, their livelihood. I want to talk to some of the manufacturers, guys like you. I mean, it's the people they've put on a pedestal in this industry for far too long. I mean, it's cat scratch fever.
It's the... But is the industry look more like a comic book cover? I mean, doesn't it? Is there superheroes? Is there this whole?
Well, I think they're trying. I think they're trying to push. I think it's more like what's it called? What's the one? Not Watcher. Which one is it? It's like the old washed up stars. Like it's like how can we? It's like Tales from the Crypt. It's like how do we get
the Love Boat of God?
Oh, fuck. But I just think you can't keep pounding the same 3, 4, 5 people. They're not.
No, it's tough because people, the media, the big channels don't want to take risks on bringing new voices out.
Right.
They just don't want to. We're launching the handgun storage solution this year, which is the first time we've gone. This is a easy price point, very innovative, very different product that's going to put us in. I mean, we don't make a handgun solution right now. That's what most people own. This is going to put us in every house in America, kind of a product. And that's where the gun, I don't say debate, but the conversations need to be had with the mom who owns a handgun.
I agree. There's so many undernourished segments. It's insane. Even years ago, Tom, when I pushed people into fitness and I pushed brands into UFC and some of these other spaces, I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Make everybody a customer. Appeal to what's at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? Everybody's trying to have a Secureit wall.
That's right.
At the end of the day, everybody wants to have 5 SIGs. There's not a person in this chat that doesn't want 5 SIGs. If I gave one away right now, they'd all jump. This is what brands don't understand in so many ways, and it's a hard concept to get their head around. You can't keep rolling out the same 7 faces and saying, well, we really want to get into this population, and we're going to use the same guy.
Yeah, but
Joey Hunter.
One of the things that drives that is they're looking at why do people watch CNN versus Fox? They're not watching it for news.
No,
they're watching it.
Airports.
Well, my opinion is though, but they choose the channel to validate the belief they already have.
Yes.
A liberal guy will watch CNN because it validates what he believes.
Yep.
Conservative guy watches Fox because it tells them, hey, my beliefs are good, and these guys are backing it up with all these cool, opinions and news. I don't even call it news stories because it's not even news anymore. I mean, COVID isn't news, people. It's here. Does anybody? I mean, what's actually affects America? I don't know. They spend so much time talking about stuff that doesn't really affect us.
Everybody should watch the show or the channel of the person that they want to hang out with. and if anyone wants to hang out with any of those people on MSNBC, especially MSNBC. I mean, I knew some good people that worked at CNN years ago. I don't think they're still there now, but I knew some good folks that have worked at that organization. Please be my guest. Go ahead. Go let those people in your living room. I'm not.
Well, those networks are going to go off the age list with Pelosi and because if you look at the average, the age of the demographics for watching CNN and Fox is really old. It's a lot older than you think. I mean, name a 30-year-old that watches network news.
Yeah.
They don't. My kids don't watch it.
Well, no one wants to give you the real news anyway. It's all scripted now. And the only place podcasting and vlogging are like the last vestiges of getting actual content, actual real meaningful content. Yeah. Everything else is a hot take and it's that company's spin on it or that particular brand's, spin. But
I think you're going to see somebody rise up out of this thing. You're going to see a source of news that's going to be much more Walter Cronkite's style of just dry. This is what happened today.
Yeah.
Not opinions on it. And there's a market for that. People want it. Nobody's willing to do it because the personalities all want their opinions out there. They want to be personalities. They want to be, Tucker Carlson wants to be Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Walter Cronkite was never, I'm aging myself here.
No.
But it was never about his personality, about him. He simply was there to tell you the news.
Yeah.
And when they landed on the moon, that's the only time you ever saw him actually show some emotion. He was blown away.
Insane.
But it was just, there's a market for that. Who's going to figure it out and bring something to market that is just telling us what happened. Remember 6 o'clock news when I was a kid? It was a guy sitting at a desk with paper, reading news. This is what happened today. It wasn't, I tell my wife, I said, look, Fox News at 6 o'clock, that's whatever.
It was like Anchorman. That's where it comes.
Watch the first 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, they cut to commercials. We'll be back with the panel. Boom, right there. It's no longer news. Now it's a bunch of people expressing their opinions on all the bullshit. But for 10 minutes, you get all the news. And that's all it takes. 10 minutes will give you the news each day.
I remember when CNN and ESPN came in.
Yeah.
They both got hot.
CNN, during the Gulf Wars, early stages.
Phenomenal.
They
great coverage.
They did. And, they're not, they did not renew the airport contract. They're not in airports anymore.
Interesting.
They're spending money to do it, and they stopped. And I know in Syracuse, Fox. I was like, wow, Fox News is on TVs here.
Yeah. And
I was there was local news in Chicago, I think.
I like to hear that. That's good. Yeah. That's good stuff. I do want to say, because we're getting on time now, I do want to say,
where's it go? Look at that.
Shout out, guys. I was a huge Madden fan. We were talking about the news when Tom brought up Walter Cronkite. John Madden, what a guy. Him and his family. I literally played Madden and watched John on Monday Night Football. I mean, he was like the guy's guy. He was the definition of a guy's guy. And what a pitch man. Back when a pitch man meant something. Yeah. I can remember his Tenactin commercials and the Miller Lite commercials like yesterday. If you haven't got a chance to check it out, there is a Madden special, guys, available on ESPN. Go check it out. It's freaking great. And what a guy. And if you lived through the late 80s, early 90s, I mean, he owned the space.
I think Chris Berman then came in as the next guy. Now Chris is getting up there, but it's
a Brown guy, Chris.
It's funny. It's
Brown University.
The voice. It was the voice of football for so long.
Yeah. Want to give him a little plug.
He's
what a guy.
Definitely deserving. Quite a
in the video games. I mean, the best. He was the best because it was real football. Finally,
who's a comedian that imitates him so well?
I can't think of his name. I know what you mean.
Italian guy.
Yeah.
My kids watch those videos.
Yeah. John Madden.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to wrap up.
Wow.
I know. An hour and 10 minutes.
If you want time to go by fast, sit in one of these chairs.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
When it's good, it flies. Any last words?
You like
the studio?
I do, guys. This place looks great. We're gonna I'm sure John, you'll post some pictures.
Yeah, we'll put some pictures up. But we want to get it kind of finished. We still have people working around us doing stuff. So we're really close. We got about I would say 75%. We got a little ways to go, but we're excited about it. I think it's gonna be really exciting as time goes on. We'll do a bit of an unveiling. Maybe we'll do a sizzle reel.
A sizzle reel. I love sizzle.
Boom. We'll put a little sizzle out there for you guys. Frank Caliendo. Biggles said Frank Caliendo is the guy. Yeah,
he does a very good.
Shout out to Biggles for the plug.
Respectful thing. No, the only thing to think about with us is at Secureit this month is Gunwall month. It's Cradle Grid month at Secureit. It's
Ryan said it. Ryan said it too. So I won't leave Ryan. So you got both the comments. But thank you. Listen, I mean it. Thank you for coming out and doing this. It means a lot. This is huge. Can't thank you enough. Guys, go check out Secureit. Go check out their page. Go give Tom some plugs. He's going to have a lot of stuff going on. We'll have more to roll out as time goes on, as some of these things flesh out, and you'll come back.
Absolutely.
You'll come back and you'll let everybody know. Yep. Check out some of this stuff. These are the guys out there that you want to pay attention to, because they're the ones that are understanding what you're doing out there in the space, especially out in YouTube land. So
YouTube land's a good land.
I think I plugged Secureit enough. Everybody knows where it is. The links were shared. Yeah. I'll put the links down below.
If you Google Secureit, it comes up all over the place. I'll put the links down below. They're everywhere. I'll get it all situated. I'll see you guys later. Listen, appreciate everybody. I thank all the sponsors. Go check it out. Guys, everybody in here, go check out some videos. Go tap thumbs up on some. Help me out. Help the SEO. Help the show. I know many of you guys, especially the Geeks and Gamers guys, I appreciate the hell out of you guys. The more comments, more reviews, more you can do. Everything's appreciated. Go leave a review. We're out.